it's the story that actually made me and him lock in for life. Mind you, I'm driving. I'm enjoying the drive. Everybody enjoying the breeze. Then I just feel a hot liquid on my back.
Wait a minute.
It was running down my back. Turns out it threw up. Hey, threw up on my back.
So it's the season of love, season of weddings, the season of baby making. And it's also the season that you can make thousands of dollars with your camera. If you're trying to shoot wedding films that look like movies, not just montages, this is for you. I'm breaking down every single thing I do, from pre-production to delivery, so you can step into your next wedding shooting like a film director. Now, you may have a camera and you may have a lens, but there's some essential gear that you may need that you can either buy or rent, and I'm gonna show you guys some budget tiers, but there's some things that you may need. Now, usually on my ceremony camera, I'll have a 70-200 that's directed all the way at the podium. And then on my second camera, I have a 24-70. These two lenses cover all your ground, basically. The first is an ND filter. Now, if you don't know what an ND filter is, it helps stop down the sun so that you can keep your settings consistent. Some weddings in the summer can happen outside or even the reception, so it's great to have that at your disposal just in case you need to stop down a little bit of the sun. Now, you may have a shotgun mic, but it's smart to get a wireless mic like the one I'm wearing right here. Now, this basically just transmits a signal straight to your camera so that you can wirelessly capture audio. Now, usually I'll have 2 on set. There's plenty of budget options. However, the higher tier options offer this thing called 32-bit float. Now, 32-bit float literally just creates more flexibility. So if somebody's speaking too low or somebody's speaking too high, you can recover it, whether that's bringing the level up or bringing the level down without having too much noise. I won't necessarily say that's a necessity, but it is something to keep in mind once you start upgrading. But regular 24-bit can also be used as well. Now, with weddings, you have to keep in mind it is one take. You don't have a lot of takes, so it's best to have a backup. That's where you'll have like an XLR recorder, and this basically feeds into the DJ's booth so that you can capture audio when people are walking around with the mic. A good thing to have is an extra XLR cable and a TRS cable. This is just in case the DJ doesn't have his. You can be like, oh, it's okay, I got one. Of course, you want to have extra batteries, whether that's V-mounts, battery packs, portable chargers, because you will be there all day and you cannot miss a moment. Now, for optional, but also very clutch, you can have small LED lights just in case the venue, or whether that's outside or inside, needs a little bit of light, and you can shoot on-the-go interviews. And another luxury that's not necessarily needed, but is great to have, is a gimbal stabilizer. Usually what I like to run is my main camera that's aiming at the podium to be on a tripod, and then my secondary camera that I run around with is usually on a stabilizer, just so we can have some really smooth shots. Because in weddings, usually you want a nice, stable, smooth shot to capture the moment. So a stabilizer can be a great thing to have. And if you're just starting out, you don't need the crazy big, beautiful, huge stabilizers. So now let's get into the actual pre-production. Now, the first thing is the actual call or discovery call with the client. I hop on a call, I might ask them what mattered the most to you, what type of vibe are you going for, what are you looking for? I'm basically just trying to get a feel of what the edit might look like before I even shoot. What I like to do first is that when somebody books me, I look at the venue. Usually they book public venues, so you can go online, research, okay, where am I gonna put my camera? Where am I going to put this? Where can I move around? And I try not to be too much a part of the ceremony. I don't want to take away from it. So I plan where I'm gonna go, which angles I'm gonna get based on the ceremony that I'm looking at. On the outlier, they might use spaces that they already know, or spaces that are home to them, such as somebody's backyard. Now, if I can't see it, like I can't find it online or something, what I would do is basically ask them to take some pictures. So it's best to have a game plan going into it. I always like to be somewhere at least 2 hours early. Now, when I'm setting up my cameras, I like to keep my main all the way in the back. Now, it depends exactly how the setup is. There might be a balcony, you might be outside, but that's why we have the 70-200 lens, so that we can hone in straight onto the overall front of the ceremony. Now, doing this, I get to capture some shots of people walking down, some shots of the groom, especially if I'm doing it by myself. Now, if you have a crew, it'll be way easier, but you're probably gonna start off doing it by yourself. So I usually just have one setup running the whole entire time. And then with my secondary camera, I'm getting shots of them coming down the aisle, crowd shots. That way I always have at least one camera that doesn't miss anything. Now, if you're not the photographer, oftentimes I like to communicate with the photographer about when they're doing things such as the first look or different portraits or different toasts. And usually you wanna avoid being in the way of the photographer and vice versa. You don't want no clashing, you just want everything to be smooth. So it's best to communicate with them so that you know exactly what they're looking for, what they're gonna do, and you just communicate back and forth so nobody's walking in your shot and you're not walking into theirs. Now, usually if you're there early, the best thing to also do is to talk to the DJ. That's where you can feed all the audio that you're about to get with the handheld mic, and he can take your XLR recorder and plug it into his board. Or if you can't get it out of their board or mixer, you can get it straight out of one of the speakers that he's plugged into. Now, on the topic of audio, when it comes to miking up, I usually like to mic up the pastor and the groom. Now, there's often times where, because they're all in such a close proximity, I'll also get to pick up the bride's audio without having the hassle of miking her up. And even if I don't mic her up, I still have my backup audio, which is the XLR recorder, so I'm constantly getting a feed. Now, when it comes to the reception, I'm also getting a feed straight from the board, but usually they're using the handheld mics and it's being passed around. So I'll also try to put a little sleeve on the mic and hook one of these lavs like this one, where it has the mic in it, and I'll hook it on there with a sleeve on it just so I can get some backup audio just in case something goes wrong with the DJ's board. So what I will do is I'll feed my lavalier mic straight into my camera that's constantly recording. Now, usually on my running gun rig with my gimbal, I usually have a shotgun mic just to capture ambience, whether that's people cheering, people clapping, people talking, and I just sync that all together. Now, usually the settings that I use on my cameras, I'm shooting 60 frames per second. This is so that I can slow down the certain moments and bring more emotion out of it. Because let's be honest, what's a wedding film without a little bit of slow motion? So I'm usually shooting on 60 and I'm exporting in 24 frames per second. Usually my main camera is about maybe f4 or f5.6, just so I can pretty much have a lot in the foreground rather than the background. And when it comes to my B-roll camera, I'm usually shooting at 2.8. Now, usually when they're getting ready, you have a lot of time to just do anything. So I usually get some shots, some nice reaction shots. Like, I like to be on the wall, don't like to be too much in. I might get some interviews, might get some testimonials and whatnot, just to build more of a story. Now, some essential B-roll or some essential shots that you need to get is to get the preparation. Obviously, if you include that in your package, it's best to get the preparation, such as the dress hanging, close-ups, makeup, natural window lights. And then you want to hone in on the details, like the rings, the invites, the flowers. And when it comes to the ceremony now, you'll have a variety of wide and tight shots, as well as reaction shots. And then obviously just create a shot list or have some type of inspiration. And the main things you need to get is the toasts, the vows, as well as the kiss, and probably the dances. I don't know in some traditions if everybody has dances, but also the dances, and you'll be fine. That's 90% of what you need. That's pretty much it. As long as you don't miss those, you'll be okay.
Now, when it comes to editing, to sync up everything, it's pretty easy. Because I have 3 sources of audio, with that being my XLR, that is the backup, my lavalier mics that are feeding straight into my camera as well as recording by themselves, and then I have my shotgun mic that's capturing the ambience. So as long as everything's recording, you can sync it together with the audio, and all you have to do is just cut in and out to get your different scenes. Now, when it comes to the style of editing, all you simply have to do is just create your own style, and that's what gets you booked. Having a specific style, whether that's elegant, vintage, it's really all up to you. Now, once you're done with the video, usually I make 3 different types of wedding videos. Sometimes I'll do social media. Then the second is just a small 5-minute short film teaser. And then I'll have the full ceremony. And usually with the full ceremony, since it's such a big file, I will usually make a flash drive or some type of drive that they can just have and plug and play.
Now, some advice when you're shooting your first wedding. I remember when I shot my first one and I was in the heat, I was sweating, I was so nervous because I was like, I don't want this to go wrong. You just have to try your best. That's really it. There's a little bit of leeway. You know, sometimes people don't want the whole entire ceremony, so you'll get away with, you know, some cuts in and out. But I will say the hardest part is probably in the shooting, not even the editing. So at the end of the day, it's bringing the couple's story to life. And that's pretty much all you have to do. Check the link in the description for a free PDF about a whole entire guide, including different budget setups, a gear checklist, a shot checklist, just the whole nine, and it's for free on the website. So check the link in the description. But anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. That's how to create beautiful wedding films. Go ahead and follow my Instagrams, like, comment, subscribe, let me know how you feel, and see you soon. I'm out.